The motive is not conquest. The motive is solvency. A nation-state does not initiate systemic conflict from a position of strength. It does so when facing terminal domestic decline. This is the core of the asymmetric escalation protocol. It is a mathematical function of desperation. Consider the Russian Federation. Analysis cited by strategic institutes like RUSI frames the current war not as a simple land grab, but as a preemptive externalization of an internal solvency crisis. The kinetic cost of the conflict, while staggering, was calculated as a lower risk liability than the certainty of systemic collapse from a stagnant economy and an unpopular, failing social contract. This conventional weakness forces the pivot. A nation with brittle industrial capacity and hemorrhaging liquidity cannot sustain a symmetric, attritional conflict against a superior economic bloc. The blueprint, therefore, demands a change of domain. The strategy shifts from overpowering the enemy's military to collapsing their society. The new vector of attack targets the adversary's systemic liabilities. It leverages asymmetric advantages to bypass traditional deterrence. As CSIS analysts have warned for years, cyber attacks are no longer nuisance. They are instruments designed to trigger cascading societal crises. This is the logical escalation from the tariff wars, which demonstrated the efficacy of economic warfare. The objective is to inflict a disproportionate kinetic cost on the home front, making the opponent politically and economically insolvent first. The protocol of asymmetric escalation operates on a brutal economic logic. The Royal United Services Institute, RUSI, provides the core data point. A modern main battle tank, a kinetic asset valued at approximately $5 million, can be neutralized by a $500 first-person view drone. This is not a tactical shift. It is a solvency crisis for legacy military-industrial models. This 10,000 to 1 cost per kill ratio is the engine of what strategists call the democratization of violence. The economic barrier to entry for projecting catastrophic force has collapsed. It mathematically incentivizes any actor experiencing a solvency decline to bypass expensive conventional forces and leverage cheap asymmetric platforms. The target is no longer the opposing army, but the systemic liabilities of the society that funded it. The protocol of asymmetric escalation is not theoretical. It is being beta tested in designated gray zones. These are not random hotspots of instability. They are sanctioned laboratories for systemic stress. While legacy media focuses on regional flare-ups, they are misdiagnosing the symptom as the cause. These zones are merely the staging grounds, the proxy laboratories, where new vectors of kinetic conflict are calibrated before deployment. The blueprint is observable in the data. The US-EU tariff war over Greenland is not a simple trade dispute. It's a non-kinetic probe of a strategic gray zone, testing economic pain tolerance. Simultaneously, industrial solvency is targeted. While events like the China factory blast are reported as accidents, analysts at CSIS note that any degradation of a competitor's industrial base serves a zero-sum strategic purpose, creating the exact pressure needed to force an asymmetric response. This pressure forces a cross-domain pivot. As scientists warn, cyber attacks are no longer simple espionage. They are engineered to trigger societal crises. A nation-state perceiving a decline in industrial capacity is mathematically incentivized to leverage its cyber capabilities, bypassing traditional deterrence to strike at a rival's core systemic liabilities: power grids, financial markets, logistics. The ultimate gray zone is low Earth orbit. The discussion around systems like brilliant pebbles, as cited in Global Security Review, is not about missile defense. It is about establishing launch-on-warning dominance in the ultimate asymmetric domain. A state losing an economic or industrial war on the ground will escalate to space, where the kinetic cost of entry is high, but the strategic leverage is absolute. These regional instabilities are the testbeds. They provide the political cover and operational data to refine the protocols that will be used in the primary theater of conflict. This isn't a mistake. It's a feature of the system. The launch-on-warning doctrine is not a choice. It is a protocol of mathematical certainty. The logic is zero-sum. If an adversary's missile launch is detected, a nation must launch its own arsenal before the incoming strike lands. To wait is to risk the total loss of retaliatory capability. The entire system is built on the integrity of its early warning data. This data is now the primary vector of attack. As analysts warn, cyber attacks are designed to trigger societal crises. A sophisticated actor does not need to launch a physical missile. They need only blind the sensor network that detects one. This is the core principle of asymmetric escalation, targeting the systemic liability of a complex opponent. This creates the fog of digital war. When a hostile cyber attack blinds the radar or injects false positives, the commander is forced into an impossible decision. According to doctrine analysis from CSIS, the protocol demands a launch based on the available data. Waiting for confirmation means betting the nation's existence that the attack is a hoax. Launching based on corrupted data initiates a kinetic event of unimaginable cost. The system itself forces the escalation. This isn't a mistake. It's a feature of modern conflict. The protocol of asymmetric escalation is not theoretical. It is a mathematical certainty driven by a solvency crisis in one domain and leverage superiority in another. As nation-states face escalating tariff wars and internal industrial decay, such as factory incidents, the incentive to bypass conventional deterrence becomes absolute. The objective is to target systemic liabilities directly. CSIS analysts have confirmed what scientists have warned. Cyber attacks are a primary vector for triggering societal crises. This is not about theft. It is about inflicting a kinetic cost through non-kinetic means. The target is not military hardware, but the complex, brittle infrastructure that underpins a modern economy: logistics, data, finance. The calibration shot will occur within 12 months. Expect a systemic, attribution impossible data corruption event targeting a major Western maritime logistics hub. Not a blackout, but a silent crippling of the booking and tracking system. For 72 hours, thousands of containers will be rendered invisible, effectively freezing a critical supply artery. The event will be framed as a catastrophic server failure, but it is a deliberate signal, a demonstration of the capacity to sever economic liquidity on demand without a single shot fired.